Verse 38. They shall be my people, and I will be their God. He doesn't say, I hope so, maybe, if I get lucky, if I can get enough evangelists to work with me, maybe this will all come out right. He says, I am going to pull a people for me. A people that I'm going to give to my Son. And He says, they shall be my people, and I will be their God. Look at this, and I will give them one heart and one way. Now don't be angry with me. Any angrier than you already are, at least. But listen to me. The 70s and 80s and all the Jesus marches and everyone weeping and crying. The church is so divided. The church is not one. My dear friend, let me tell you something. If the church is not one, there is a prayer out there that God the Father did not answer for His Son. And this new covenant promise has failed. So I want to redirect you a little bit. I want to submit to you, the church is one. She's always been one. Have you ever sat down on an airplane or maybe met someone in a marketplace you didn't even know? And you being maybe Baptist or Mennonite or this or that, but truly evangelical, truly Christian, you talk to them for no more than a few minutes and you discover, bam! It's a believer. It's a live one. And at that moment, you'd give your life for them. You'd give your life for them. I remember one time we were in Departamento Amazonas in Peru, and it was during the time of the Sendero Luminoso and the civil war that was going on there. We rode 22 hours up in the back of a grain truck under a black tarp, and at about midnight, we pulled the tarp off, the truck stopped, and we jumped off into the jungle. We stayed the night just at the edge of the jungle and made our ways up to a place called Ingenio in Tambolic. About halfway up, we got lost in the dark the next day. So we were praying, me and my dear friend Paco, we were praying, "Oh God, give us some direction. We're lost. We don't, if we're found in here, the terrorists owned the place, the military wouldn't even go in." And we cried out, "Oh God, give us some direction. Help us." We heard a bell. Then we heard somebody talking. It was a strange conversation at first, we thought. But then we realized it was a little boy coming in from the fields with his burro, and he was talking to his burro. And so we got behind him and we followed him. Then we stood on the edge of the town, little village, huts, adobe homes. And I said, "Paco," I said, "you know, if the terrorists own this thing, we're dead." "Yeah, but we got to go somewhere." So we got down, walked up to a man who was drunk in the dark, and said, "Hay hermanos por aquí." Are there brothers here? Because everybody knows what that means in the mountains. It means a real Christian. And he said, "La vieja por ahí," the old woman over there. And so I went over there. It was an old Nazarene woman. And I knocked on the door. I said, "I am an evangelical pastor. Please help me." And that old woman reached out with that lantern. She grabbed me. She pulled me inside. She grabbed Paco, took us down. Her house was cut out of a kind of a cliff in the mud, and took us down in the basement where there was some hay and chickens and things. And she sat us there and she lit a lamp. And then a little boy came in and she called to him and said, "Go get the other brothers." And they started bringing chickens and yucca and everything else, risking their life. Why? Because we are one. Stop saying all these silly things that you're saying, that the body of Christ is divided and it's a mess and it's full of sin. I would not talk about the bride of Christ that way if I was you. What you've got is a bunch of goats and tares among the sheep. And because very little biblical, compassionate church discipline is practiced, they live among the sheep, they feed on the sheep, and they destroy the sheep. And those of you who are leaders in the church are going to pay a high penalty when you stand before the one who loves them. Because you did not have enough courage to stand up and confront the wicked.